Okay, so pretty much this is talking about where's the fair use, and if you can't hear us, this is as loud as we're going to get, because our voices are going. But yeah, this is totally talking about this movement that we started a couple months ago. Actually, months ago, man, it's crazy. And it's just sort of talking about different stories and what happens behind the scenes, how you can avoid it, if you can avoid it, what we're all trying to do to kind of change it, make it better, changes that have happened already in such a short amount of time, and we're just going to be discussing that. The best way to start, we should say who we are. For people who don't know, I think most of you know, but just start up here. I'm Doug Walker. I have a website called channelawesome.com. Do a whole bunch of various characters and videos, best known as Nostalgia Critic, where we do reviews, where we do use clips, and sometimes we don't use clips. And that has gotten us in trouble in the past. We're in trouble, and it's us trying to show them that we should be in trouble.
You go ahead, I'm going to enjoy my clear beverage.
Pepsi Crystal.
Cinemassacre.com. Video game nerd.
Board games.
We do movie reviews too, so we do a lot of the same type of things. So this makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah.
My name's Brad Jones. I run Channel Awesome. I run thecinemasnob.com. I'm best known for playing a character called the Cinema Snob, a pretentious character who watches exploitation movies. I produce a cartoon series through TuneWorks called Lloyd. I do a review series called Midnight Screenings, and like 50 other series. Thecinemasnob.com.
My name is Arnie Walker. I'm the father of Doug, and I also handle the music for the big Channel Awesome thing, like the Star Wars, Phantom of the Opera, and stuff like that. And the music gets hit just like the videos do, so that's why I'm here to talk about that. I was wondering why. Sean Ward, say hello to Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Sean.
Sean.
We'll talk about him too. All right, so first thing to do is to clarify exactly what fair use is. I have Wikipedia, and because I don't have the exact, everything memorized, I'm just gonna read it. But so you know, fair use is a U.S. legal doctrine that permits limited use of copyrighted material without acquiring permission from the rights of the holders. It is similar to fair dealing. There was a court case that happened recently with Len versus Universal Music Corp, where there was a dancing baby, just someone filming it, and it was to Prince music, and Universal said, "You can't do that. You can't do that." So they went to court for it, and they said this is clearly fair use. I mean, they're just building a baby, and it's transformative. It's not ripping off Prince. It's not stealing his music. It's not anything like that. So that would say that fair use must be taken into account whenever there's any action taking place. That rarely happens.
Yeah.
So with that said, let's see. The court claim. Just looking for the part that says exactly where this stuff is. I can't find it. Okay, so I'll just tell you the things it's usually used for. It's used for reviews. It's used for anything that can become transformative. That means like you take like Andy Warhol with the can of soup. The candles has existed for years, but he can use it for art and he can transform it to mean something totally different. That's transformative. What else? Well, it's for news. Certainly, if you need to report on something. For parody, it can be used for that as well. So those are some of the things it can be used for, and on YouTube we have used clips before to make our point and to get across and show people various things about movies or shows or whatever that sort of offers a point of view because that's allowed. It's allowed for reviewing. And because we were doing that though, because YouTube sadly does have a lot of piracy going on and people just uploading entire movies and stuff. They've cracked down and they've had manual claims, which is when a person sees it and says, hey, take away their money, stop, strike claim, whatever. And they have automatic claims, which is when a robot actually finds a scene. They have it in YouTube, and they say, we recognize this amount of footage, content ID, recognize a certain amount of footage, and they take it off, saying you can't do that. So those have kind of gotten out of control through some of the stories we'll talk about, and so we started Where's the Fair Use, saying that fair use is important, it's legal, and it's really being abused through DMCA takedowns. And we're just going to talk about sort of the various stories and ways to kind of help out with that. And because my voice is starting to go a little bit, I'm going to give it a little bit of a break. I'm going to have James talk a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Any stories, Andy?
Well, I'm mostly sitting here, just want to sit on the panel, so I'm an audience member a lot like you guys. But Doug did a video with a bunch of people waiting. I think you were in that one too, Brad, and a lot of Channel Awesome people. That's a really great video. If any of you guys get a chance to see that, it's just the Where's the Fair Use video.
Yeah.
So like you all kind of like weigh in on different stories. Would you want me to just like give out a story?
Oh, like a story, any running you can, because I mean, definitely with Cinemassacre era, like Monster Madness and stuff like that, even you had to change it to just talking about the film sometimes.
And it's great too when I hear from other people because it's like, oh, I see, it's not just me. It's like having that. I've had a lot of problems with things that like, because we're always like really careful, but we have a lot of issues with things that are just mistakes a lot of times, like content ID. At one time I thought, okay, I could do a bunch of public domain commentaries and stuff. And a public domain movie, once it enters the public domain, it should be in the public domain forever. There's no way to take a movie out of the public domain and, it's like once the copyright's gone, it's gone.
And public domain means it's been around for a certain amount of time, nobody's claiming copyright, so anyone can use it for anything. Alice in Wonderland is public domain, the story. Beethoven's music is public domain, Night of the Living Dead is public domain.
Yeah, there's a whole different reason why it's in public domain. But the thing is, somebody will always enter a public domain movie into content ID. So then, when I say, oh, I'm going to do this commentary on Night of the Living Dead, which I try to do, then it'd be like, oh, now I'm getting all these claims from all these people. They don't own the movie. Nobody owns Night of the Living Dead. It's a public domain movie. So then it's like, what there should be is a way that YouTube can enter a movie into like, take a public domain movie and put it into like a new match system where this is public domain. Nobody can claim this thing. And then from that point on, it's like proven as public domain, but instead it's like all these other people are trying to claim it, and like, well, you can dispute it. By the time you dispute it, somebody else claims it, and it's just going to keep on going. It's just kind of like a mess with any pre-existing work, even royalty-free music.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this up too, I'll bring that up. So, okay, so there is particularly the one I've fallen into a lot, there is a wonderful bit of music called Pro Scores, and it was a DVD that you bought, maybe you can get online, that you bought of music. And a lot of it was action music, some of it was like soft, slow inspiration music and stuff, and we used it in a lot of ours. I think you've used it too, probably before. But now other artists have used this music because they bought it, like in their music videos or other things, and they put that on their content ID. Well, because that's, so they're saying if anyone else uses any of my stuff or tries to steal it, I want to get their money or claim them, whatever. Well, depending on how they arrange it, if the music gets caught too, it's still part of their product, so the content ID will be like, well, they use the music, they're stealing your stuff, they're stealing your stuff. Well, they're not, they're using the same music that we got and we bought fairly too.
Yeah, just to clarify, royalty-free music is when you buy music that's been pre-done, and then when you buy it, you own a license to use that like for forever now, and you can use it whatever you want. But then if other people use the same thing, then it kind of cross the streams, and now it gets into their content ID, it gets all like a mess.
And
that just reminded me of when I first started about 10 years ago. again, this was 10 years ago, so the theme song that I was using on my show was themed to Greatest American Hero. I don't own that. But then it was kind of the Wild West then, so you kind of learned that a little back then. But anyway, years and years went by, and Noah Antweiler does the Spoonie experiment. He did a spoof of me, and he used like a clip of that song, "Themed to Greatest American Hero," and YouTube wanted him to get written consent from me. He used Joey Scarberry's "Themed to Greatest American Hero." Apparently, I do own it, according to YouTube.
Well, and the funny thing about it, especially with music, sometimes in movies, but especially with music, the copyrights can change, and maybe the copyright of this music used in this movie is owned by somebody else, or maybe it's owned by somebody else when used in a different way, or played at concerts or whatever. So that's why you can have a song that maybe has some music that's, royalty-free, but can get like 6 claims, because everybody's claiming something else, or a different part that's used, or all sorts of things like that. And a lot of times it is just walk by the box. Now, there are some ways around this. Like I said, Pro Scores was something we used. Musicloops.com has wonderful selections, like really good music. This is stuff you hear in trailers. You hear it on like College Humor, and I'm sure some of your stuff too. All sorts of great stuff. I think you've used Musicloops.com. Yeah. But another way around it, for example, we do a lot of parodies of stuff, and we want music that sounds very similar to something, but we don't want the actual music because we don't want to get claimed. So my dad is a composer, and he can tell you about some of the things he's done.
Yeah, what you can do first, you have to understand what can be copyrighted on music. So you sit there and you hear a chord progression. Oh, I know what that is. That's the old heart and soul. You cannot copyright a chord progression, which means that you've got a song and you want to change the melody, but use the chord progression to something that's extremely well known. That's okay. You cannot copyright a chord progression. You cannot copyright a rhythm. Those can be, do whatever you want, and there's no problem whatsoever. All you can copyright are lyrics and a single line melody. So what we do at Channel Awesome, we decompose songs. And we'll take, for instance, we had one that had the, ended with Black Willy Wonka going up in the Wonka paper. And so that'll work for that. I took the exact arrangement, the exact chords and everything from the Willy Wonka movie, and I simply wrote the melody a little bit different. Now, did it sound like? Yes, it did. And so sometimes all we do is turn it upside down. Willy Wonka goes ba da 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 da. Play it upside down. Bum 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 bum. Okay, and with the chords, it's going to sound like it. We did the entire Phantom of the Opera like that. 13 songs, all decomposed, and I am so proud to say that we even pulled a bot who tried to strike us on the original Phantom theme. Bum, 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 that. And they, no, Michael and Adam, our CEO, and they, no, this is recomposed. No, it's not. Bot said it is. We finally got a real person to listen to it and compare it to the real thing. Yeah, okay, this is fine. You don't have to take again. You don't have to take a strike on this. You don't owe any money.
So the funny thing about it is that even if you decompose the music, if you make it sound too similar, even that can still technically get claimed. And the funny thing is that we got that looked at, and the person looked at it, actually said, we are so sick. We actually very much for Where's the Fair Use. This was, a mistake in the algorithm and stuff like that. We are so sorry. And actually wrote a very, very nice email. Oh, that's so cool. One week later, I got claimed again. And because it's some other copyright holder of that music, because several people can have, certainly different parts of copyrights and stuff, heard it, either did a manual claim or as a bot claim again, and we had to go through the whole thing again. And the real bad side of that is that now, in the early days of YouTube, people just post a video, great, you watch it and that's it. Now people are making their livelihood on it. And in the early days, we actually started off, Nostalgia Critic doing our videos on YouTube, and it kept getting 20th Century Fox was coming after us, Lionsgate was coming after us. Hey, these 5-second movies, you can't use that. Hey, Nostalgia, you can't use that. So we founded our own website. That's where then it was called Classic.com, that's JohnAwesome.com. And we were on the few that actually survived off of YouTube for years and years, mainly because the fan base was so dedicated. And they actually did follow us. And you see like a lot of these big stars trying to get off of YouTube, they have their own site because they don't like dealing with this stuff, but that's just where the people are. So we've been on there for, I'm trying to think, like maybe 4 or 5 years just off of YouTube, officially. We've just had Classic.com. Recently we've come back because we heard, and when I say recently, I mean like 3-4 years ago. We've come back because we heard things were calming down and we're seeing like Honest Trailers doing stuff and other reviewers doing stuff. Right? Maybe this Cinnamon Sins. And they've gotten a few hits and stuff, but Cinnamon Sins have gotten a lot, sad to say. But, and they had to fight this stuff too, but they were still on and they were making a living at it, and we were doing okay, but we knew, man, YouTube, that's where the numbers are still. So we eventually came back and was doing okay, and then suddenly we got hit with this major thing 1 month. This was last year now, I think. No, it was earlier this year. That's right. Sorry, long day. But earlier this year, we got hit with a strike from Studio Ghibli, and I think it was a strike from Fox, I believe. And thank you. And something happened where it took away all the monetization, which isn't supposed to happen when you get a strike. I mean, it is a 3 strikes you're out thing. But your monetization isn't supposed to be gone. You can only put up, I think, like 5 or 10-minute videos. You couldn't go beyond that. And none of this was in the rules or anything. So we tried to get in contact, and we were getting nothing. We weren't, and even we went to certain parties that had a few contacts in there, and we tried to talk to them. None of them had the same story. Everybody told us something different, and we don't like sort of airing out our business. We don't like saying, hey, this is happening. We don't like doing that. Yeah. But after a month of no money, I mean, imagine not getting paid for a month, your livelihood, for no reason, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. We finally had to do this video talking about where's the fair use, and I had also another one called What the Hell YouTube, where we explain what's going on. And that finally got people to back down, and sort of we got to talk to YouTube finally, and they're like, hi! What? Sorry!
I was on vacation.
And now we do have direct contacts, which helps most of the time. And we do still, even now, we really do believe YouTube got caught in a tough place. It started off as something that was just supposed to be showing videos. It blew up. It was during the Wild Wild West of the internet. And then people are pirating things. They're getting lawsuit after lawsuit. And they're still trying to figure it out. And we do believe they believe in fair use and they want to get it right. But we also know a lot of other companies have come in. A lot of people they're bound to and they have to be a part of and they have to please them. And we get that. We're a company too. There's got to be a compromise. And I think they're trying to find that compromise. So some changes have been made, which I'm really happy to say. One of them is that it used to be if somebody gave a claim saying, hey, this is ours, you can't use it, they could steal your money. They could just have all the money that you're making go to them. You can keep the video up, but they're making every nickel that you got. And then if you disputed the false claim, and you were right, which usually takes like a couple weeks or something, they still keep all that money. Now that's all, that's criminal. YouTube has changed that. To add to what we were talking about, where there should be a side pot to have the money going there, and then whoever wins the dispute, that's who the money goes to. YouTube now does have that. So it's one of those things where it's like, I hate talking like this, but for now, the best way, if you do get a claim or a strike or something on your channel, it is kind of like, make a fuss. Because, YouTube doesn't like bad press. I mean, nobody really likes bad press, unless you're Donald Trump. It's one of those things where it's like, I think the reason YouTube especially doesn't like bad press is because they want to be fair. And YouTube is gigantic, it's huge, so I think things are going to get lost in there. But I do believe they're trying, and they're trying to make the compromise and stuff like that, but things are still going to get lost. And this is also where we're trying to kind of go the legal route, where we're also going to copyright roundtables and people disputing, you know, how far they should take it. Some people want to crack down harder, and they have this either take down, stay down, where even if it's a false claim, you couldn't do anything about it. But that thankfully doesn't seem to be giving any steam. But there are people still fighting for that.
Our CEO, Mike Machad, went to one of these.
Two.
And he said that he found that there is starting to be a rift between the music people and the video people. The music people want to fight this to the death. You cannot steal my music, you can't do anything like that.
Yeah.
The video people are starting to open up, which is why the YouTube is getting a little better. The reason these people are going after us to try and get our money is because they have money and we don't.
Yeah.
If they launch a claim against you, if you want to get it straightened out, you've got to somehow get to YouTube. If they're still arguing, you've got to get a lawyer. They've got lawyers, you don't have a lawyer.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's why the company is starting to fight.
Yeah, we don't have lawyers! I'm trying to think, we can probably go into some other stories that we've come across. Or actually, well, I was gonna say, you guys are good. Yeah.
Oh, this honestly, it was taken care of pretty quickly, but like, I do a show on my site called Midnight Screenings. It's just me and a few other people from my website. We go to like the movie pre-screenings for like new movies that come out. Like the Thursday night screenings, we go to that, and then we just shoot the shit about it in the car afterwards. There's no clips used, there's no music or anything like that in it. It's just two people sitting in the car talking. Well, last year there was a strike on one of them. There was a strike on one of them for our video on the Man from Uncle, the Guy Ritchie one that came out last year. And it was, and at first I was kind of like, did a car drive by in the background that was playing something, I don't know, but no, that wasn't the case. The only thing I could think of is like maybe some like intern just saw that and thought that and thought Man from Uncle was only a half-hour-long movie, and I don't know. So
I've never even heard of the movie until now. So.
So the funny thing is, actually, a really glowing review. We really liked it. That was actually taken care of pretty quickly because it's obvious if you see the video. The Man from Uncle is not just two people sitting in a car talking about the movie. So within that afternoon, that got taken care of. And anytime I've had an issue with like the Content ID bots and stuff like that, you've had way more of the issue where it's like a false claim and stuff like that. With me, it was just kind of like maybe trim like a couple seconds out of this clip. I don't even really have that problem so much anymore because I know the length of the clips to use. It's something like not over 20 seconds. Even then, I keep it to about 15 or below. And also, I don't know if you do the same thing too, but whenever I'm thinking about doing an episode on something, I go on YouTube to see if anyone else has done it.
Yeah, I have to see if how likely it is to get in.
Yeah, and when you see like, okay, when we did the Passion of the Christ, there's a few Passion of the Christ reviews on YouTube, or even people talking about clips. That made me pretty comfortable to do Passion of the Christ. Whereas if you hear like a horror story of anybody who's ever reviewed that Cool Cat movie,
Oh God!
apparently that guy is just crazy about takedowns. So I was like, okay, well I'm not even going to deal with that today.
Well, and I think with that, I mean, that's a good example. And we had a run in, some of you might have heard recently, Tommy Wiseau has come back.
Yes, he has.
No, but he has come back and he has claimed, he has given us 2 strikes. One was the review that years ago he tried to stop us from doing, and then we showed it to our lawyer, said, hey, this is fair use and everything, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, all right, so we put it up and never did anything with it, and that got a lot of attention. Grace Sestero, the guy who played Mark, really praises that review, saying this is really, it's kind of like that and Adult Swim, viewer searches that really help get attention to the movie. So Tommy Wiseau's come back, I think, like 6 years later, because for whatever reason, and has just said, I'm giving you a strike, I'm taking this down, and then looked at the interview we did with him, which has no footage from the movie or anything like that, and said, take this down too, an interview he agreed to do. So, I mean, we can't know why, we can only speculate, but the strikes have been removed because, most likely because we went online and said, what the hell, Tommy? And, I mean, it's not just him, like a few other people have just gotten hit. He just went on this big bandwagon of just like, I just want to take these all down, anyone that talks about the movie. And I mean, I'm just, again, I can only speculate. I'm gonna guess that man is not very balanced. And like you said with the Cool Cat, I mean, you see the director of this Cool Cat movie completely insane. I mean, this is a cartoon villain, and it's pretty much giving power to these people who, if they just are in an emotional mood and want to take you down, they can. So that's one of the reasons we started doing this movement and trying to lean towards, this DMCA abuse that is going on. And it is gaining more and more momentum, and even YouTube is stepping in sometimes, trying to see these people saying, hey, this shouldn't, we can see this person is not, this is someone is clearly abusing them, that's what I should say. YouTube is trying to step in more to that, clearly missed ours, but, they're trying to step in more for it. So, one of the things I think we can talk about are ways to try and avoid it. This is very gray area, it's not black and white. But there are some ways that we found that you can sort of, it's less likely to get hit by the bots or the video thing. Like you talked to him, talk to him.
Oh, cool. Do something about the safe route, like what you can do?
Kind of, or just any tricks that I mean, like nothing is a fail-safe, nothing is absolute, but there are some things we've all learned.
Like the toughest thing, it's kind of like, the 100% way is to try and like make sure that there's nothing, you won't even.
It's not 100%.
Just sit in a car talking about the movie. But,
you don't even talk about the movie. You do an interview with a guy who's in the movie that can get taken down.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, like public domain stuff, royalty free is a big issue. Like even that, you're gonna have to deal with things. Even if it will get disputed, it'll be fine. But still, it's like a pain in the ass. And it takes a lot of time and energy away when you could be working on other videos. So, but like the ideal way is to like have a composer, but you can't always have a time to get something composed, for every single video. So that's why I use royalty-free stuff a lot. So really, all I can say is just trying to avoid it as much as you can. But like getting that clip in there when you need it most, it's like so I'm just like. Which is, it's a shame to have to like compromise so much, but it's like, that's what I would like play it safe usually. So Monster Madness this year is still for me. So thank you.
Monster Madness.
Thank you. Actually, this year, well, the 10th and last one is actually the first year we're doing it entirely YouTube friendly version, so that it can be on YouTube. Because I think last year we did where half of them were exclusive on Cinemassacre, but we filled those in with reruns from other years. Like we've done things. So like this is the first year since I think like the second year where they're all going to be on YouTube where everybody can see it. Cool. Yeah.
And another example is our the amount of the clip that you use. Sometimes we find can make a difference. Now again, when they insert a movie into their, so the bots can find the content ID. It's up to them how much they want put in. If they want to put in the majority of the movie, well, then anything that goes up on YouTube that's going to have any part of the movie in it is going to get claimed. But they know, the smart ones know, they want some clips on YouTube. They want to spread the word on YouTube, so they can't do the whole thing. So they try to put in certain amounts of time. Most of them know that, some don't. Some will just claim the whole movie, and you'll see none of it on YouTube at all, which is, horrible idea, for marketing and stuff. But usually, like Brad said, usually like around the 20-second mark, I try to keep it 15. Honestly, I even try to go to 10 if I can. And the nice thing about that is, honestly, I don't know about you, but editing-wise, it's made me a lot more creative in terms of what I show and what I explain. I think the reviews have actually gotten tighter for it, and they're a lot faster, and I'm actually like, wow, actually I like this more than my older reviews, because I watch my older reviews like, oh my god, I'm just letting so much of the clip play, and it doesn't have to, where I can cut to the point so much faster because of the jokes.
That is true in that regard. You can tighten things a lot more, and I also have, because I've been back on YouTube for over a year, I think, or something like that. But there's a lot of my older videos from when I was on Flip TV that there's no way. Absolutely no way. So I have like a second. I have a screen. I'm on screen with as well. I mean, all my new stuff is on YouTube. But let's say the Cristiano brothers. So here's this thing that happened. The Cristiano brothers, they produce these movies like Second Glance. There's a popular clip where the guy in high school is like, "Hey Scotty, Jesus man." It's like that. Like really corny, like over the top, like Sunday school movies. And they are in gold mine too, which makes us unfortunate. But so I had a few videos of their movies, like Second Glance, The Pretender, and Prime of the Age. And they were on there for a little while, and like all of the safety precautions and everything were used, like no content ID picked up or anything. But the Cristianos have this copyright guy who works for them that lives like in Japan somewhere, and he just will randomly go through YouTube and take down any video on their stuff that is perceived as negative. So a positive review of Second Glance will still be on there. But if you're giving it a negative review or even ripping parts of it and like poking fun at it a little bit, it'll get taken down. That's what happened with me. And when a lot of people do this, they kind of bang on the fact that maybe you don't want to fight it or maybe you don't have time. And like with the Man from U.N.C.L.E. thing, like, yeah, I'll absolutely fight this. And the Second Glance thing hit at a time where I couldn't do anything about it. So I had to like kind of compromise with the guy. So all I did was I just removed it from YouTube and I put it on the secondary account. So it's always good to have a secondary account in case something like that happens. But if you want to know more about this situation with the Cristiano brothers, there is a really popular YouTube channel called The Bible Reloaded. It's a really good site. It's a really good page. It's a lot of funny stuff. And they do videos on stuff like Second Glance and the Cristianos. And they know that about the Cristianos, which is why their videos on Second Glance and Prime of the Age were like what you were just saying, with using still shots. Using still shots and only like a few seconds of audio from the movie. But again, this guy went and flagged like 5 of their videos that were all Cristiano Brothers movies not because of footage, but because they were negative. So now, if you want to follow along,
We should bring out the positive ones that are still up.
Yeah,
and
those are
still fine with those.
Any positive video on like a Cristiano Brothers movie is still up because of this copyright guy they hired. So now the Hugo and Jake for Bible Reloaded, they've done a video on it on their page and everything, and they're taking these guys' asses to court. Like, so they've got a whole fundraising thing that they're doing that's over on their YouTube page. So yeah, they've got all the time in the world to just be like, no, screw you guys, man. Like, we just use still shots and barely any audio. So some people will just be dicks.
There's if we want to get down on our knees and say, oh, thank you, Lord, for this person, and it might surprise you, who is probably the biggest fighter we've ever had for fair use, is Weird Al Yankovic. Into 20 seconds. Plus, he is using the melody. Now, what he does is he tries to get the permission of the people to go ahead and do this. Most of them say, yeah, they get a kick out of it. Some say no. He does, the ones that say no, he does on his live show. And he won't do, he actually puts on the tube his other stuff. But because he has fought this so long, under fair use, people tend not to get on his case that much. And just to give you the real 1 second history there, this goes all the way back. I assume there's people here old enough to still remember Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine used to have these musicals in it, in which they would have, here's the words to our satire of the sound of music. And it's underneath say, to be sung to the sound of music. Now, in the 50s, 3 of the biggest composers in the whole Broadway scene, which was Richard Rodgers, Irving Berlin, and Cole Porter, sued Mad Magazine and said, we believe that the original composer is the only person who can do a satire on their own. It started in New York and the lower court, the middle court, the higher court. It went to the Supreme Court, and they were just laughed out. Just for that reason, Mad was allowed to do it, and people could suddenly start writing and publishing satirical lyrics. Wow. As long as they use, and just write down, you sing it to this song. You don't even have to have the song. They can't get you because you're not doing any melody. So, thank you, L. Yankovic.
Hey, yeah.
We're keeping it in. It's like, take down Nostalgia Critic, the Cinema Snob movie. Just kidding, release. And in terms, speaking of parody, something we were talking about here, because you were saying, I ran this on Blip, I couldn't run it on YouTube. But the reason we say that, we're not uploading something that's like, hey, here's just this entire song to listen to. It is either used for different purposes or transformative or using parody. It's not, I don't think any of us have ever uploaded something that was like, hey, here's the movie, make us money watching this, or take money away from them to watch this movie. That's not it. It's always for a review, it's always for parody or something transformative.
It was just different guidelines on Blip than on mine. And you could really, even on Blip, you could run into a really gray area. Because back on Blip, the only issue that I had on Blip was I did a snob episode on a movie called Grizzly 2. And it's a movie that never got officially released. It never got finished. It was like about an 80% finished movie. But it's a very easy movie to find. Like you can see it online. You can get it at like conventions and stuff like that. So not even really thinking about it, I did an episode on it. And several months went by, and Blip was different. They wouldn't just take down your video, they talked to you about it first. And the lady who produced Grizzly 2 is like this Hungarian art dealer who sent me this message in broken English that was basically like, you motherfucker. Shit about my movie, Grizzly 2. What? So anyway, she got my phone number too. She left me a voicemail that was a lot nicer, so I imagine someone told her. It didn't start off with, you motherfucker! No. It was a lot nicer that led me to think maybe someone was like, well, maybe if you ask him nicely. But that was a total gray area because that movie was never released, so it was like, yeah, okay. Okay. I took that down and then it mysteriously got leaked on other places.
But something else in terms of with the content ID, sometimes, because we'll take old reviews, and maybe even not old review, some current ones, and we'll upload it to YouTube, and sometimes it'll get a claim, and it'll say what area is claimed, and it could be like a couple seconds, so maybe we use footage that's in their records or whatever that they have claimed, they're like, you use too much or something like that, in which case, we just cut that part out, and then we re-upload it back, because it's a lot easier than going and fighting the claim and dispute it and stuff like that.
That'll be something else when you re-upload.
Sometimes that does happen,
It doesn't show up like the first one. They'll be like, wait, where did this come from?
Yeah, sometimes they'll have new ones that pop up too, but I want to say for us, 80% of the time, if we cut out those parts and we re-upload it, it's it goes fine. But we have that ones where Michael just sent me, and he goes alright, just cut out this part of the video and upload. Okay, so I'll do that. It's alright, now cut out this part. So cut out these 3 parts. God, what the hell's wrong with this YouTube thing?
That happened to me.
Oh no, and this doesn't really fit in the flow of the conversation, but I once got a claim from Nintendo for farting The Legend of Zelda.
Just blowing high.
I got
from the bullshit man.
Yeah. Cool, let's see. Other questions here.
Very similar but different nature. You guys ever faced claims of the privacy violation nature for saying a director's name or perhaps a musical artist's name? Because this has happened to me when I've done, say, movie or music reviews, and all of a sudden someone says saying a certain name, like I'm a director or artist, violates the privacy, and YouTube basically says I can't do anything about it. Have you ever ran into that?
I've never heard of it. So just saying the person's name?
Yeah, no, I started noticing that.
When did it start? When did you start getting it?
I did, it happened about maybe a year ago. I did a review of 3 Days Grace album, and I said the lead singer's name, and I noticed that I got a privacy complaint for that time code. So in my next video, when I was addressing that specific topic, because I looked it up and it said YouTube was saying it's not a privacy violation if it's a well-known person, if they have a Wikipedia page, stuff like that. If they're a famous celebrity, it shouldn't be considered that.
Yeah.
So in a future video, I named some famous people, like just as a test, I said things like Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, just to see what would happen. I said Britney Spears. I said really famous names to see what would happen. And according to what YouTube says, only the person who's named can file said complaint of privacy violation. And then after I did that video, boom, 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 3 hits. Each on all 3 names.
Why was it like on President Obama and stuff?
Yeah, everything. So that.
I think that guy has more stuff going on.
By
than
that, that means either someone or some bot detected that. I feel like it had to have been an individual. But
That's
someone
really
detected that.
interesting.
And I brought it up to Google and YouTube, and they're basically like, yeah, that sucks, but we can't do anything about that.
If I were you, honestly, I mean, I don't know what your view counts were, but I'd make a video on it.
Yeah,
And
I did
that's an
actually.
interesting thing to bring attention to.
That's where I got caught on that. I was making the video about that, and that's where it got noticed. I mean, I've got a couple thousand followers, but I brought that up, and people started to notice on that. And I was just curious if, given that you guys have a much greater view count, and you will mention names like directors and actors and stuff, if that's ever happened at all.
Never come across it. Guys, no, I never even heard of it. No, I would, I think, you know, again, I don't know, when we did the fair use thing, it was bringing attention to something that a lot of people were going through,
Right.
but weren't talking about. Maybe that's the same thing. Maybe it's something that people are going through. Maybe this is a bigger problem.
Right.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's a smaller problem that still deserves
Yeah,
attention.
it's of a
That's-
similar nature.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I would make a video about it. Probably, you know, couldn't say names, but you can just show pictures
Right.
or something like that, you know, to be safe.
I was
You know, or
having-
be creative about it.
I was having entire like podcasts and reviews and everything just being shot down for 1 second of saying a famous name.
I've never. That's fascinating. And like I said, I would make a video on it and sort of, you know, even get feedback from just other people on YouTube. Like, has anyone else come across this? I mean, just trying to figure it out.
I've heard people
we have come across that.
I've heard people being shot down.
Yeah, we have come across that. We were with Indie Pop.
Oh.
And there was a whole bunch of video games developers there that were debuting. One of them was called Heart-Shaped Games because it sounded like heart-shaped box.
What?
We got a Nirvana strike.
Oh.
And we eventually got told the video cannot be uploaded, period, and it was immediately taken down. And then we got permission from Heart-Shaped Games to put it back up. At which point they said, it still is too close. Take it down. And so we're still fighting that one. So.
Wow. I got to tell you, was that what you were going to bring
Yeah,
up?
that's what I was going to bring
I was gonna say that. I think that's worth talking about. I mean, we already know each other anyway, but I'll talk to you more about that. That might be worth talking about in a video. That's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So no, never heard of it. That's fascinating. Cool. All right.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Let's see, okay, other questions here. Let's do. I gotta go get the nostalgia corrections.
What can we do to support you guys and other content producers who are doing reviews on your fair use?
And you're doing it now. You're raising awareness.
Yeah.
You're talking about it. You're sharing it. I mean, that really is the best thing. I mean, if you want to do it, anybody, you know. And no, that is the nice thing about it. It doesn't. Right now, I mean, raising awareness doesn't cost anything. I mean, it's one of the great things about YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, it spreads, and you know, you can share this stuff and you can share these good causes. So
Publicity is much more that is more important than any money you throw our way.
yeah, so the more, so the more you can do that, just keep talking about it and keep it a subject. I mean, we know we have to be in for the long haul, but yeah, the more you keep talking about it and keep awareness of it, yeah, that's the best you can do. Let's see, Brad.
Hi, this is a question for either Brad or Doug. I have a request for you, like a keyword for Doug because of how awful it is Brad could work for board maybe?
I'm that guy.
It is the ultimate version of the room. Like it is so awful.
What is it?
1313 frightening me.
I know what that is. Those are terrible. I saw 1313 Bigfoot Island, and it's a series of David Dakota movies where he just kind of films dudes in the shower and then they get something like that. There was one called 1313 Bigfoot Island where at one point you see the box for the Bigfoot costume like in the background. So I thought the twist at the end was going to be like, oh, it's going to turn out it's just a guy in a suit the whole time. No. That was just in the background. Like, yeah, those would be pretty good material.
He's reused that Bigfoot suit like 3 different movies now.
Well, that's good. Whatever makes David. Like somebody song.
With that said, let's keep the questions where we're at the very
No, only on softcore Bigfoot.
I'm not questioning my supporters.
Where's the Bigfoot?
Because you made that great joke, you pick the next one.
All right. Oh, there was a, oh, there you go.
So, I was just thinking, like, maybe I should try something about maybe kind of weird out game thing, of course, but instead of Halo training thing, maybe it's like, maybe just trying to make challenges.
The biggest challenge for what? I'm sorry.
In terms of doing
So parodies.
videos,
Okay.
Like doing a song parody with internet celebrity?
yeah, general
I mean, like anything. I mean, there's no black and white to it. Just depends on how much music they have in the system, how much they're willing to let buy, manual claims or bot claims, stuff like that. I mean, it's just one of the things where you just sort of you can't know for sure. You just, again, like sort of what I was telling her, you just try to make it as much your own as you can, and that'll take away more of the risk, but it's never fully gone. Again, I mean, you can just talk in your car and still technically get claimed. Yeah, it's just, the more you can make it your own, that's probably the best advice I can have. So cool. Let's see, anyone else here? Let's do blonde wigs. I think it's a white wig. Oh, yeah.
For each of you personally, where do you, as far as like content you use for reviewing or other methods under fair use, where do you personally draw the line as to what you consider as fair use content?
I hate to kind of say this because I know reaction videos are big, but kind of what I was talking about where somebody is just watching a video and once in a while kind of smile going, but you're showing like everything or the majority of it. I really think that's not adding commentary, that's not transformative. And also just piracy. I'm just not pro piracy, I'm really not.
That's
Yeah,
probably
that's
TV
kind of
show
where I
that people
feel
watch, so it's like
Well, there was a guy who
TV.
uploaded one of the movies that I wrote, uploaded onto YouTube, and then he added a Focus Features logo to the beginning of it. Because he added a Focus Features thing to the beginning of it. He tried saying it was a fan edit. No, man. No. So that was pretty funny.
That's what you said. I mean, it's fair use. Fair use. We're not saying piracy. Like, you take something that's entirely and use it. Fair use is using a small percentage of what it is. I mean, going back to the definition and stuff like that's what I'm saying. It needs to be fair.
So, guys, I think we're about out of time here, so thank you all so much.